Connecting your Garmin to your computer is very simple. All you're going to need is a USB cable. This one here is one of the older mini USB cables. You'll just have to look on the back. Inside the box that came with your Garmin, you'll have a cable provided. To connect it to your computer, all you have to do, even if the Garmin device is off, is just plug it in. Oh, this one's a little more difficult. It has a magnet there. Once you plug it in, the Garmin device will automatically fire up. Once you're connected, it should show a screen. There you go. With a computer connected to a device, that means it's connected completely. If you've never connected it before to your computer will probably prompt you for, it'll recognize the device and prompt you for some kind of software, or just download it itself. You'll notice here that I've got a prompt that came up on my computer notifying me that the Garmin has been connected. What I'm going to want to do next is I'm going to want to download and install a program called Basecamp. Okay, what I'm going to show you today is how to connect your Garmin device to your computer. I've already attached my GPS device to the computer via USB cable. Now all I'm going to have to do is start a program called Basecamp. This is Garmin's program that they've created to help you manage your devices, also your places of interest that you'd like to go. It's a pretty slick little program. It's very similar to Google Earth if you're used to using that. It has a screen where you can move it around just by clicking and dragging. You have a toolbar at the upper portion which gives you some more advanced features if you're going to be using those. But what you'll notice close the program. What I'm going to show you today is I'm going to show you Garmin Basecamp. Garmin Basecamp is the program designed by Garmin specifically for their devices to help you manage your places of interest and also all your different types of devices you may have, be it a Garmin GPS unit for the car, the Phoenix watch that you can use. It's taking a second here to load. Once it comes up, you'll notice that it's very similar to Google Earth if you've used that program before. It has a map that you can see all your places of interest, your local position that you're at currently, any places that you've collected over time, also your paths that you collect on your device. What I want to show you, though, in particular, is the devices section. Once you plug in your Garmin device via USB cable, it should show up in the left-hand window pane. And when you have your device there, you can do many things. You could add points to it, or you can also update your device, which is a handy feature that they have. In the meantime, let's now that Garmin Basecamp is going, I first am going to need to use, just for ease of use, a program, Google Earth. I like using Google Earth because it's very easy. It has a very great search feature to help me find locations. And it's pretty smooth. So today, let's say I want to go to Saudi Arabia and I want to place a point somewhere. Let's say I want to go to the empty quarter down here. And how I usually find the places of interest that I want to go to is I'll make sure that I have the photos. If I open this up down here in layers, in the lower left-hand corner, the layers section gives you a checkbox that allows you to toggle on and off photos. And these are photos that people take when they're traveling and they decide they want to share them with other people. It's a great resource. Unlike the Garmin Basecamp, doesn't necessarily have this feature or a big user base such as Google. So you'll find more places of interest if you use the Google Earth. program. I usually just kind of pan around until I find a conglomeration of photos, and if you click on them, it'll show you what's there. And let's say, for example, I find this very interesting water tank in the middle of absolutely nowhere in the desert, and we decide we want to go there for a trip. What you need to do is create a pin. And if you look on the upper toolbar, there's a pin that you thumbtack essentially that you can place on a wall, but they have a digital version of it. If I click on that, it'll pop up a little pin in my screen. While I have this dialog box open that just popped up, which gives me a title that I can give it, so I can give it water tank, for example. It gives you the location, the latitude and longitude, and you could actually add some extra notes if you want. But while we have this dialog box open, we can actually click on the pin and drag it to wherever we want to go. I usually try to zoom in pretty close, get the pin exactly where I want it, and then I'm going to hit OK. You'll notice now, I'm going to go ahead and collapse this, you'll notice I have a bunch of pins already here, but I have one listed as water tank. I could toggle it off and on just by clicking on the checkbox. But what I need to do now is I need to move this pin from Google Earth over to my Garmin Basecamp program. So what I'm going to do is right-click on it, and the pop-up dialog has a function called Save Place As. If I click on that, it's going to open up a Save Place dialog. This, by the way, works the same on a Mac computer as a PC. It's no different. And so what I want to do is I already have a My Documents folder, very similar to a Mac as well, where I can save all my documents. I already have a bunch of Garmin or Google Earth points in here, as you can see. It has a title that I gave it, Water Tank. If you didn't name it, you can give it a name now. And that's all you really need to know. I'm going to hit Save, and I'm basically done with Google Earth. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to go back to my Garmin Basecamp program, and what I need to do now is I'm going to need to import or bring over the pin from Google Earth into my Garmin Basecamp, because with the Garmin Basecamp I can then easily import it and then I can view it. So at the very top on the left-hand pane I have a section called Library. You'll notice I have a bunch of points already here. These are the same points I have in Google Earth. But I need to first move it into my Garmin Basecamp program before I can drag my point to the actual Garmin device. So I'm going to click on My Collection. Oops, it's not in the right-hand click, but I'm going to go to File pull-down menu and Import into My Collection. It, just like any other Windows program, or if you're on a Mac, the Mac program, it'll actually open directly to your home folder or documents folder. And all I have to do is find my pin called Water Tank, and it's right here. If I click on that, do Open, I'll now notice that the water tank is actually in my collection on my Garmin Basecamp. If I were to double click it, it should take me directly there. And there's nothing around there. It's in the empty corner. I have nothing nearby. If I zoom out enough, theoretically, if I give Garmin a little bit of time, it'll fill in the area around it. But it's a lot of data. So I'm just going to let it sit there. In the meantime, I now see below on the left-hand window pane my Nuvi 3597. That's my GPS unit. What I need to do is left-click, hold down the button, and drag it on top of my Nuvi 3597. You'll notice that it has a little plus and the arrow for my cursor, meaning that I actually have it in my hand right now. If I let go of the left hand or the left click, it will actually drag and start importing that point to my device. Now you see a little green check. That means it's done. So if I go ahead and double click, I'll notice it shows all my points that I have in the world. Let's get a little bit off this here. My Basecamp is acting a little funky, so we'll just let it sit there. But it is there. If I click on my internal storage, you'll notice down below I should have, if I go down to W, water tank, and there it is. You'll notice this big conglomeration of flags up here is Riyadh. That's where all my other pins are. And down below here is the water tank. So it's now there. And that's all you need to know for importing. I just got through importing all of my, not all of my points, but just one of my points onto my Garmin. What I'm going to do now, since it's still connected to the computer, because I want to test and make sure that the point is actually there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to disconnect the cable just to make sure that it's actually getting the information that is on the device, not on my computer. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to give it a second here. Okay, my Garmin's finally finished booting up. I'm going to click on agree. And I'm going to then check to make sure my point is there. So I'm going to click on where to. I'm going to go to saved. And then I'm going to look, oops, hit back. I'm going to look to see that the water tank is there. And as you can see, my water tank is there. If I want to go there now, I can just press go, and it'll start navigating. Okay. Well, I have no GPS signal inside my house, but theoretically it would take me there. That's how you add a point, a place of interest, using Google Earth, using your computer, add it to Basecamp, then move it over to your GPS unit, and then you're ready to navigate.